Hi everyone, I'm Jennifer from English with Jennifer. The U.S. presidential elections stir up a lot of emotions, both positive and negative. As an English language teacher, I get excited because the election season gives us things to learn and talk about. Pronunciation, vocabulary, current issues. If you'd like to study American English with me, be sure to subscribe. And if you've seen the join button, consider becoming a member of my channel so you can get the most you can out of your English studies here on YouTube. In this lesson, I'm going to remain politically neutral. You can find plenty of opinions and controversy elsewhere. My goal is to give you knowledge and words that will help you keep up with the news and participate in conversations about U.S. politics. We'll focus on vocabulary and pronunciation, all right? Let's start with the basics. In the U.S., we have two major political parties, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. If you'd like to know what makes Democrats and Republicans different, you can check out my lesson on U.S. political parties. In short, the Democratic Party is more to the left, meaning more liberal, and they favor a bigger government. The Republican Party is more to the right, meaning more conservative, and they favor less regulation and a smaller role for the government, especially at the federal level. A good number of stereotypes exist about each party, so I think it's important to remember that there are good, kind, responsible people everywhere. In blue states, in red states, and in so-called purple states or swing states. That's where there's a mix of Republicans and Democrats. Repeat after me. Democrat, Democrat, Democrat. Stress on the first syllable. Democrat. Democratic. 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 Primary stress is on the third syllable. Democratic. And I'm flapping my T, it sounds like a D. Democratic. Republican. 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 Primary stress is on the second syllable. Republican. Liberal or liberal. This word can be said with 2 or 3 syllables. Liberal. Liberal. Either way, the stress is on the first syllable. Liberal. Liberal. Conservative. 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 Primary stress is on the second syllable, and we often flap our T so it will sound like a D. Conservative. Swing, as in swing state. Swing has 1 syllable, and the word ends with that NG sound, ng. Raise the back part of your tongue toward the roof of your mouth. Ng. Swing. Swing state. Right now it's election season, and the individual states are voting to confirm who the nominee will be for each party. This early process from February to June is referred to as the primaries, meaning the primary elections and caucuses. These are contests at the state level. Later in November, we'll have our general election at the national level. That's when we'll choose between the Democratic candidate, the Republican candidate, candidates from smaller parties, and usually at least 1 independent candidate. If you'd like to understand our election process better, you can watch my lesson on U.S. presidential elections. There are many candidates for president. They all want to be considered as a possible choice for the job. Repeat after me. Candidate. Candidate. 3 syllables, and stress is on the first. Candidate. Or candidate. Candidate. Also with 3 syllables, but a long A at the end. candidate. So you can use the long A, candidate, or the schwa sound, candidate. Repeat after me. Nominee. Nominee. Stress is on the last syllable. Nominee. Nominee. In 2020, Donald Trump is the sitting president. He's in the White House. But the incumbent president can have challengers from within the party. To get reelected, the president needs to win the nomination of his party during the primaries. In Donald Trump's case, it's the Republican Party. What usually happens is that the sitting president remains the first choice of the party. His name goes on the ballot. The ballot is literally the paper used to vote. So in November, Donald Trump's name will go on the ballot as the Republican nominee. Repeat after me. Trump. One syllable, and be careful with that TR. Don't roll your R, don't trill your R, not Trump, Trump. Trump. Incumbent. 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 Stress is on the second syllable. Incumbent. Nomination. 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 Primary stress is on the third syllable. Nomination. Ballot. 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 Stress is on the first syllable. Ballot. Notice how an unstressed vowel sound is often a schwa sound. Ballot. The list of Democratic candidates is quite long. It was longer, but some candidates have already dropped out of the race. In alphabetical order, the 8 remaining candidates are Joe Biden, Mike Bloomberg, Pete Buttigieg, Tulsi Gabbard, Amy Klobuchar, Bernie Sanders, Tom Steyer, and Elizabeth Warren. The most recent candidate to leave the race was Andrew Yang, an entrepreneur who entered politics. He also has a background in law. His last name and the name of his supporters give us practice with that NG sound, Yang. His supporters were and are still known as the Yang Gang. The Yang Gang. The NG sound is a voiced sound, and it's similar to N, but we use the back of our tongue. The back rises toward the roof of the mouth. Yang. Yang Gang. I'm mentioning Mr. Yang because I think we'll still hear from him. He's become visible as a political commentator on TV since dropping out of the race. I wouldn't be surprised if Mr. Yang holds some kind of political office in the future. As for the remaining Democratic candidates, we can divide them up in a few different ways. First, I think it's interesting to note who uses their nickname and who uses their full name. Presidents make this choice before they get elected. For example, Ronald Reagan was Ronald, not Ron. But Bill Clinton was Bill, not William. Note that Joe is short for Joseph. Mike is short for Michael. Pete is short for Peter. Bernie is short for Bernard. Tom is short for Thomas. And Liz is short for Elizabeth, but Elizabeth Warren prefers to use her full name, Elizabeth. Amy and Tulsi are full names. Before Tulsi Gabbard, I had never heard the name Tulsi before. It's a girl's name in Hindi, as I understand. If you hear a first name you're curious about, it's okay to ask, is that a family name? Does your name have a special meaning? You can also ask, what kind of name is that, if you use a polite tone, not What kind of name is that? Add a compliment to make sure you don't cause offense. Tulsi, that's pretty. What kind of name is that? Does it have a special meaning? Another way we can look at the candidates is by age. Now, normally in American culture, it's not polite to ask an adult, "How old are you?" But when we elect a president, age can be a factor. Voters question whether it's better to choose someone older with more experience, or whether a younger candidate could handle the stress of the job better. Pete Buttigieg and Tulsi Gabbard are the youngest at 38. Amy Klobuchar is in her 50s. Tom Steyer is in his 60s. The remaining candidates are in their 70s. You can say they're in their 70s, they're all over 70, or you can impress people with this long word, septuagenarian. They're all septuagenarians. Septuagenarians. 7 syllables, I believe, and that's easy to remember because the prefix sept means 7. Septuagenarians, people in their 70s. Where's the stress? Septuagenarians. There's primary and secondary. Septuagenarians. Sept and ner. Septuagenarians. Septuagenarians. There are some variations with that word, but I think I've heard it most often said as septuagenarians. Practice it and you'll sound confident. They're septuagenarians. In terms of political experience, we have 1 former vice president, 2 former mayors, 3 senators, 1 member of Congress, a congresswoman, and 2 people from the business world, businessmen. I should note that some of the candidates have held other offices in the past. Biden was a senator. Sanders was a congressman and a mayor. And Klobuchar and Warren, like Andrew Yang, have a background in law. The current candidates are an interesting mix. Mike Bloomberg, for example, served as mayor of New York City, and he's a businessman. Both Bloomberg and Steyer have been financially successful. Bloomberg and Steyer are the only 2 billionaires among the Democrats. Repeat after me. Steyer. Bloomberg. Both those last names have consonant blends, 2 consonant sounds together. ST in Steyer, BL in Bloomberg. And note the pattern. Most 2-syllable last names have stress on the first syllable. Steyer, Bloomberg. Again, repeat after me. Biden, with a long I, Biden. Gabbard, with a short A and an sound, Gabbard. Sanders, with a Z sound at the end, Z, Sanders. Warren. Take the time to fully form that W, Warren. Warren. As mentioned, Mike Bloomberg isn't the only one with experience as a mayor. Pete Buttigieg is the former mayor of South Bend, Indiana. Mayor Pete has the most difficult name of all to pronounce. If you ever meet someone with a last name that's challenging to pronounce, you can ask, "How do you say your last name?" Or, "How is your last name pronounced?" Some people have come up with the strategy of saying boot-edge-edge to teach others how to say Buttigieg. It's not entirely accurate, but it's helpful. There are 3 syllables, Buttigieg, stress on the first, which means the other 2 syllables have unstressed vowels, Buttigieg. The first syllable has a long oo. The double T becomes a flap T, so it will sound more like a D sound, Buttigieg. The second syllable could have a schwa sound, or a short I sound, I. I've listened to Mayor Pete introduce himself, and to my ears, it sounds like a schwa sound, Buttigieg. The 2 G's are soft G's and sound like a J, Buttigieg, Pete Buttigieg. The other candidate with a 3-syllable last name is Amy Klobuchar. Klobuchar. 3 syllables and the first syllable is stressed. It follows the same stress pattern as Buttigieg. Buttigieg. Klobuchar. If we break it up into 3 syllables, it is easier to say. Klo, we have a consonant blend, KL, klo, long O, boo, long oo, shar, with an SH, sh, shar. I have heard people use the CH, ch, but when I hear Senator Klobuchar introduce herself, I hear an SH sound, Klobuchar, Senator Klobuchar. Yet another way to group the candidates is by who is a veteran and who isn't. Tulsi Gabbard and Pete Buttigieg are veterans. They both have military experience. They served in the United States Armed Forces. For some voters, this is a plus. Repeat after me. Veteran. Veteran. 3 syllables, stress on the first. Veteran. Veteran. They're veterans. A final way we can classify the presidential candidates is probably the most important way. Where do they fall on the political spectrum? Someone who is closer to the center but leans a little left or right is a centrist. More often I hear the word moderate. That can be a noun or an adjective. You can be a moderate, you can have moderate views. Repeat after me. Moderate. Moderate. 3 syllables, stress on the first. Moderate. Moderate. In each party, there are those who are far left and far right. In the Democratic Party, those who are far left are called very liberal or progressive. These 2 words don't necessarily mean the same thing, but there's enough overlap that today Americans often use these words interchangeably. Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren are seen as the most progressive candidates. Bernie Sanders identifies himself as a democratic socialist. Both Sanders and Warren are proposing big changes in the role of the government. The other candidates are seen as more or less moderate. Repeat after me. Progressive. Progressive. Stress on the second. Progressive. Not pro, pra. Progressive. Socialist. Socialist. 3 syllables, stress on the first. Socialist. 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 So who will win the Democratic nomination and face Donald Trump in the general election? The Democratic field is still large, but we'll know more within a few months. We've already seen results from a few primaries, but Super Tuesday is coming up, and that's a big day. Super Tuesday is when a large number of states hold their primary elections. It's usually a time to gain some clarity and confirm the front runner, meaning the leader of the race. Perhaps the list of Democratic candidates will become shorter if some fail to win enough votes. Super Tuesday can help winnow the field. Candidates can be winnowed out. The list can be winnowed down. This refers to removing people from the list, making the list shorter. Repeat after me. Super Tuesday. Super Tuesday. Super Tuesday. Front runner. Front runner. This can be written as one word or with a hyphen, but place the stress on the first syllable, front. I'm not dropping my T, I'm using a glottal stop. It's the same sound we use in uh-oh or uh-uh. When you hold your breath, that's the same action you need to make a glottal stop in front runner. Front runner. Winnow. Winnow. 2 syllables, stress on the first. Winnow. winnow, winnow out, winnow down. How much do you care about politics? To be honest, politics can stress me out, especially the debates. But our presidential elections are important. And I care about many issues, so I feel it's my responsibility to listen to different views and stay informed. If you'd like to have the language to talk about current issues such as immigration, healthcare, and college tuition, be sure to check out my conversation playlist and look for those advanced topics. I'll put the link in the video description. And don't forget, if you'd like to have a conversation with me about anything one-on-one, you can book a private lesson through my website. I'll end here. If you found the lesson useful, please like and share the video with others. As always, thanks for watching and happy studies. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and try something new. Download the apps KikiTime and Holo. These are more ways I can help you learn English each and every week. And hey, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Turn on those notifications.